Good morning. I'd like to bring the May 20th, 2020 Planning Advisory Commission meeting to order. It is after 9, of course, but we will go ahead and get started. So let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. First thing, if you will, please silence or turn off all your cell phones. Now, I have been excused today because we've got some that are going to be asking questions by cell phone or by text, so if you would just please silence those. And today we're operating under much different circumstances as most meetings are now being held. We have some commissioners that are watching by television or by YouTube or Facebook and will be forwarding questions to me via text, so I will be looking over here some. We will have citizens calling in via phone with questions and or comments, and we ask those watching here and by other means to be please be patient with us as we move these cases forward. The phone number in which to call is 706-225-3937, and it should be scrolling across your screen for those that are watching electronically. I remind those in the audience and those watching on television, this is the first hearing of any rezoning text change special exception request brought before us today. We will first hear a reading of the staff report for the case by the planning staff and ask the applicant to provide a brief overview of the request. One thing, when you're finished with your case or your case is completed, we just ask that you go ahead and leave. We will then give the opportunity for anyone in the audience to speak for or against that request or to inquire about the said request. Commissioners will have any needed discussion on the case. Once a motion is made and seconded by the commission, a vote will take place and a recommendation will be rendered. The case will go back to the planning department for their independent recommendation. If a favorable recommendation is given, then the case is forwarded to the city council with the two independent recommendations. If the planning department makes a recommendation for denial, the applicant will have 10 days from the receipt of a letter stating the denial to notify the clerk or council that they're requested to be placed on the city council's agenda. The City Council of Columbus will hold a public meeting, which is called the first reading. Said council shall consider the case, review the Planning Advisory Commission and Planning Department recommendations, and hear discussion on the matter. Council will make a final decision at a second meeting, public meeting, and it's called the second reading. All right, we do have a quorum here. Our first agenda today is to approve the minutes of the previous meeting, which is from March the 18th, 2020. It has been a while. Does anyone have any comments or corrections regarding those minutes? If you do, please state that now. Anybody? All right, we'll consider those accepted. All right, we'll move on to the rezoning cases, and we'll begin with the first one, which is REZN 04-20-1648. This is a request for a text amendment to amend the text of the Unified Development Ordinance, UDO, in regards to add amusement, add massage therapy, indoor, add farm equipment sales, delete section 9.2.5.1.3 sign permits and fuel station to chapter 3 and 13. And we'll hear a report from the planning division first, please.
Yes, sir. Is a text amendment change to the UDO. An explanation of revision is to amend table 3.1.1, delete a section in 9.2.5.I.3, and amend chapter 13, and Will Johnson will comment on the rest.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. REZN 0420-1648. Text changes. The first one is changing categories in table 3.1.1, which is our use categories. The first one is indoor entertainment. We're adding indoor amusement. We're adding that to the CRD district. It's already allowed in the UPT, the NC, and GC. And what this is, bowling alleys, axe throwing, places like that do the
Okay.
indoor arcades, that do the indoor things. I mean, active bar scenes seem to be the new thing. We've researched and seen that there's skee ball places and darts and things that you've never thought, putt-putt. There's a new putt-putt bar in Atlanta that's all putt-putt, but some of these allow kids, so they can't go in as a bar. So then they go in as indoor amusement, like your bowling alleys here in town. So adding that to the CRD. Farm equipment, sales and services, we allow car and truck sales in LMI, but we do not allow farm equipment. And as you know, farm equipment can get quite large and is probably more appropriate for an LMI use. So this would allow it in GC and LMI. We're adding fuel station. What a fuel station is that's different than what we already have is, if y'all are familiar with the APHIS natural gas station on Armour Road, this is essentially a gas station that has no personnel, just has the tanks and the pumps, and you pay by card. We've had some interest to put those in some of the industrial parks, particularly Jameson Industrial Park, which helps with the truck traffic trying to stop at the Circle K or the Chevron there on Highway 80, and in some of the other industrial parks, it'd help there too. So this would just be, you know, putting it out there, sticking your corporate card in there and filling up your truck. And massage therapy, we have you have to get a lot of certifications in the state of Georgia to be a massage therapist. When we updated this to add those certifications years ago, we just didn't add it to into the 3.1.1. So we're adding it to the CRD, neighborhood commercial, and RO. And y'all got any questions on those uses?
All right. Commissioners, do you have any questions?
Any text messages?
I do not have any text messages.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You said that it's going to be kids there. Or y'all adding amusement for kids?
No, what it is, you know, these places can go in as a bar or indoor amusement. Indoor amusement allows you to have a wide range of customer, whereas a bar, you got to be 21 or over. So it gives you an option of whether you want to be a bar or indoor entertainment.
Thank you for clarifying
Yes,
that
sir.
for me.
Yes, sir. Any other questions, commissioners? I have not received any from anyone else.
All right, number 2, delete section 9.2.5.I.3, sign permit in the UPT CRD districts. The facade board does have jurisdiction over what a sign looks like, but the facade board does not issue sign permits. So we're taking that out. Codes and inspections issue sign permits.
Okay.
And the last one is amend Chapter 13, definitions, by adding a definition for fuel station. And a fuel station is a facility having pumps and underground storage tanks as which fuels for the use of motor vehicles are dispensed, sold, or offered for sale with no retail store, no car wash, or any other similar uses that you would have with a typical C-store. Just pumps and gas.
Yeah, I'm familiar with those. I've seen them, I think, around Dothan, Montgomery.
Well, and the APHIS one on Armour Road
It's
is
very-
owned by the Airport Authority, so that's why that never came here. But
That's natural
that's an
gas,
example of exactly what we're talking about.
Okey-doke. All right, commissioners, y'all have any questions regarding these last 2 items on this case? All right. And I have no text messages. Is there anyone in the audience like to stand and speak for or against this, or have any comments? All right. That said, all right, commissioners, I'll open the floor up for a motion regarding this case. Yes, sir, Mr. Brannon.
In the case of REZN-04-20-1648, a request to amend the text of the UDO by making changes to Table 3.1.1 with regards to amusement, indoor, fuel stations, and massage therapists, with the deletion of a section in 9.2.5, letter I.3, and the amending Chapter 13 by adding a definition for fuel station. I recommend approval of this amendment.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I second.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed, it's unanimous. Thank you very much. All right. Second case this morning is REZN 03-201329. This is a request for a text amendment to amend the text of the Unified Development Ordinance, UDO, in regards to modify the SAC zoning district, Section 2.3.8. And we'll hear from the Planning Department first regarding this case.
Yes, sure. This is the explanation of revisions, amend Table 2.3.8 by creating a minimum lot size within the overall size requirement of the SAC. That minimum lot would go from 130,680 to 43,560, which is essentially 3 acres to 1 acre. The second explanation of revisions is amend Section 2.3.8 for the SAC Center by updating requirements as related to the zoning districts to include university or college, multifamily residential, and hotel, motel, inn. Amend Table 3.1.1 permitted special exception and prohibited uses as follows. Multifamily dwelling under SAC would require special exception. A university or college would be permitted, and hotel, motel, or inn would require a special exception.
All right. Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any questions regarding this? Mr. Renfro? All right. Will Mr. Johnson be presenting this one as well, or?
No, sir.
All right. If you would please come to the podium and state your name for the record and your address, please.
Morning. Tim Jensen with Heck Burrishaw Architects at 8 11th Street, Suite 300, Columbus, Georgia. And this amendment is driven by allowing university or college, as was referenced in the SAC zoning, that area along the riverfront from 14th up to just south of 20th Street, generally speaking. So the other references are accessory zonings, if you will, things that would support that. This is driven by the desire to have a university located at this location. And then because over time, as this area has been developed, some of the parcels have gotten smaller, and so to allow appropriate development of those within the guidelines to reduce the acreage of that would allow that to occur. And then some of the housing components over time would allow appropriate provisions to support the university there if there's opportunity for that. And this would be for both public and private universities.
Okay. All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Jensen. Commissioners, do y'all have any questions of Mr. Jensen? Gentlemen? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I perceive no text on that one either. Does anyone in the audience like to speak for or against this case? Please come forward at this time or comment. And that said, no one's moving. So I open the floor up, Commissioners, for a motion on this case. Yes, sir.
Do you want me
Mr.
to do
Brandon.
Okay, I can handle that. In the case of REZN-03-20-1329, a request to change the text of the Unified Development Ordinance, specifically amend Table 2.3.8 to reduce the minimum lot size from 130,680 square feet to 43,560 square feet, to amend 2.3.8 to add universities or college and multifamily residential, and to amend Table 3.1.1, adding dwelling multifamily as a special exception use in SAC and hotel, motel, or inn as a special exception use. I move that we recommend approval.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Brandon. Do we have a second?
A second.
Dr. McCaskey. All right. Any discussion? All those in favor to approve this, please raise your right hand. And all opposed by the same? And it's unanimous. And yes, I got a vote on text from Mr. Bollinger that yes. Okay, and I did on the first one as well. All right. We'll be on to our third case now, which is REZN 03201330. And this is a request to rezone 0.38 acres of land located at 4,000 Buena Vista Road. Current zoning is NC, Neighborhood Commercial. Proposed zoning is GC, General Commercial. The proposed use is a pawn shop. Dean King is the applicant. This property is located in Council District 1, Barnes. And we'll hear from Planning Division on the staff report first, please.
Excuse me. Yes, sir. General land use is consistent for planning area E. Current land use designation is general commercial. Future is general commercial. It is compatible with existing land uses. The property does not lie within the floodway and floodplain area. The developer will need an approved drainage plan prior to issuance of a site development permit if a permit is required. Property is served by all city services. There's currently no trip generation for pawn shop. The site shall meet the codes and regulations of CCG for commercial usage. No school impact, no buffer requirements, no Fort Benning recommendation, no DRI recommendation. Surrounding zones, north, south, east, and west are all neighborhood commercial. The attitude of property owners surrounding is 35 property owners within 300 feet of the subject property were notified of the rezoning case. The planning department received no calls and or emails regarding this case. And there's no additional comments.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Renfro. Commissioners, y'all have any questions of Mr. Renfro regarding this case? All right, sir. If you would give us your name and address, please, sir.
Dean King, 3901 Buena Vista Road.
Okay, and tell us what you're planning to do here.
After 30 years and over 200,000 loans, the DOT is doing a project which you guys are well aware of, the Diamond Interchange. They're forcing us out, so we found a location right down the road, and we're hoping to get approved.
Okay. All right. What is in there currently? Do you know? Is it just empty land or?
Rent Smart.
Rent Smart. Okay,
Rent
that
Smart.
was it.
Used to be the old Victory Auto Parts,
Yes.
and then it was Rent Smart.
Okay. All right. Commissioners, do you have any questions of Mr. King? Anyone? All right. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Is there anyone in the audience like to speak for or against this case or have any comments? Please come forward. And no one stirring again. Great. All right. I'd like to open the floor up for a motion, please, regarding this case.
When it comes to REZN 03-20-1330, a request to rezone 0.38 acres of land located at 4,000 Buena Vista Road. Current zoning is neighborhood commercial. Proposed zoning is general commercial. The proposed use is a pawn shop. Dean King is the applicant. The property is located in City Council District 1, Jerry Pop Barnes. I motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second? Second, Mr. Derby. Any discussion? All those in favor to accept, please raise your right hand. And all opposed by the same. All right, thank you, Mr. King. That's unanimous. And we did get a vote yes from Mr. Bollinger. All right. Moving on along, we got case number 4. Mr. Dudley also voted yes from his phone. All right. Case number REZN 03201331. This is a request to rezone 5.44 acres of land located at 4219 Warm Springs Road. Current zoning is GC, General Commercial. Proposed zoning is RO, Residential Office. The proposed use is affordable senior living apartments. Infill Housing, Inc. is the applicant. This property is located in Council District 5, Charmaine Crabb. We'll hear from Planning first, please. Mr. Renfro.
General land use is inconsistent for planning area A. Current land use designation is vacant or undeveloped. Future is general commercial. It is compatible with existing land uses. The property does not lie within the floodway or floodplain area. The developer will need an approved drainage plan prior to issuance of a site development permit if a permit is required. Property is served by all city services. Average annual daily trips will increase by 250 trips if used for this type. The level of service will will remain a Level B. The site shall meet the codes and regulations of CCG for commercial usage. There'll be no school impact. The site shall include a Category C buffer along property lines bordered by the SFR zoning district. The three options under Category C are 20 feet with a certain amount of canopy trees, understory trees, shrubs, ornamental grasses per 100 linear feet, 10 feet with a certain amount of shrubs, ornamental grasses per 100 linear feet, and a wood fence or masonry wall, 30 feet undisturbed natural buffer. No fort binning recommendation, no DRI recommendation. Excuse me. North zoning is residential office, south is general commercial, east is general commercial, west is single-family residential 2. 35 property owners within 300 feet of the subject properties were notified of the rezoning case. The planning department received one call regarding this case in opposition. That call is there is a neighbor that is concerned with the density and height of the proposed development.
Okay. All right. Commissioners, do y'all have any questions of planning or Mr. Renfro? Anyone? All right. Let's see.
Well, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
So it states that it's affordable senior living, right, apartments. So could you elaborate, like, the structure and age requirements and maybe?
Sure, absolutely. We'll go through all of
Yes,
that.
sir.
Okay.
All right. And if you would, please introduce yourself and give us your name and address for the
Absolutely.
record, please.
Good morning, gentlemen. My name is George Mize. I'm with the law firm of Page Scranum, 111 Bay Avenue, Columbus, Georgia, 3rd floor. I represent your applicant and co-developer in Infill Housing. Infill Housing is a nonprofit real estate development arm of the Macon Housing Authority. They've been in business since 2001, specializing in the development of affordable housing. And over that period of time, they've developed or constructed or are in the process of constructing 21 different properties, 7 of which are senior affordable housing. And that represents over 1,500 units, and over that period of time, they've invested. All those are in the state of Georgia. That represents an investment of over $218 million in our state. This project will be co-developed in a joint venture with the Housing Authority of Columbus, Georgia, and the current plan is for the Housing Authority to actually manage the property. Here with me on behalf of Infill is Ms. Kathleen Matthews, and here with me on behalf of the Housing Authority, Mr. Ricky Miles, and we also have Donna Folan, who is the trustee of the Grant Trust, which is also the owner of the subject property. What we have on the screen is the site plan, but what we're seeking today is to rezone, actually downzone this 5.4 acres of land from GC to RO. The property is located at 4219 Warren Springs Road, and it adjoins and is adjacent to a very large apartment complex on the north known as the Lakes Apartments, directly across the street from Willie Harrell's auto dealership, and about halfway between Ebco Battery and the D.A. Turner YMCA. The RO classification is suitable for this subject property. It's going to be consistent, compatible with surrounding land uses. As you can see from the zoning map, the subject property has a little flag on it or whatever. Just to the north of that is kind of a peach color, is the very large apartment complex known as the Lakes, and it's already zoned RO. To the east and southeast of the property, represented in red, are GC classification properties, and just to the north of that in kind of the light brown is also a multifamily designation. And as John said, to the west you've got various classifications of single-family residential, and we believe the RO classification will serve as excellent transitional zoning between the commercial zoning to the east and southeast and the residential zoning to the west, and we think balances well the interests of the owners, the developers, as well as the neighbors. My client will be developing a high-quality, mixed-income, affordable senior housing community consisting of a total of 72 units, 64 of which will be affordable and 8 of which will be market rate. The development will be known as Warm Springs Senior Village, and as you can see from the proposed elevation, as well as some additional developments that Infill has done, we're talking about a very attractive apartment complex with development cost in excess of $13 million. More than 18% of the people in Columbus are over the age of 62, and that demographic is expected to grow. But as that demographic continues to grow, the current affordable senior housing stock is not sufficient to keep up with the aging population. The current affordable senior housing inventory is out of date, and the Columbus Housing Authority will tell you that for their senior-only housing, they've already got a waiting list of over 475 people. So you can see this market is in dire need of a brand-new senior housing project. Many seniors live on fixed incomes, and that's being more and more depleted each year with rising costs, particularly health care costs. Seniors who are forced to spend a substantial portion of their income on housing oftentimes have to choose between paying for rent or paying for groceries, paying for medicine, or other essentials. And this proposed community will help in that regard because we're going to have 64 affordable units that are going to be available to seniors over 62 years of age who have less than 60% of the area median income. And to kind of put numbers behind that, in order to be a qualified resident of this particular development, you're going to have to make less than $25,080 a year. The fundamental idea behind this particular project is to provide affordable housing to seniors and to connect seniors in a vibrant community. And this part of Columbus is an excellent place for this particular development. There are numerous desirable amenities within a mile and a half of the development. You've got grocery, retail, pharmacy, fire stations, post office, churches, recreation. We even got transportation because the bus stop's about 300 feet away. The village also have very robust social programming for the residents, including educational programming, nutritional and health programming, as well as outreach programming to help them connect with the community. In addition, the residents' health, of course, is going to be of utmost importance. They'll be provided a fitness center and a wellness center. And in that wellness center, you're going to have examination rooms, you're going to have health screening and testing, you're going to have individualized medication management, and you're going to have your annual physicals. You're going to have some additional amenities, including a very attractive gathering area complete with a coffee bar. And as you can see in this picture, you're going to have a community garden where they can get together, grow vegetables, and socialize, and then you're going to have your more traditional social events such as movie night, bingo, and many, many others. These developers are committed to an innovative design approach to ensure that the village is environmentally friendly, enhances the character of the surrounding properties. Therefore, they're going to build this development in accordance with Earthcraft multifamily program standards. And generally, on average, these units are 30% more energy efficient than others, which is great for the environment, but it's particularly good for the pocketbooks of our residents. To get this certification, it's very costly, but it's standard operating procedure for these particular developers. John talked about buffering, and what my clients propose to do is, of course, in accordance with the UDO, maintain a 30-foot undisturbed natural buffer, and they're willing to supplement that buffer with additional plantings in the event there are any bare spots. All public facilities and infrastructure are located at the site. There'll be no negative impact to those facilities and infrastructure, nor will there be any additional investment required by the city in that regard. As John indicated, the small amount of traffic generated by this particular development will not have a negative impact on the transportation network, and the LOS level of service will maintain a level B. The development will also have a very positive economic impact to the city and its citizens, including the creation of numerous construction jobs during the 12 to 14-month build-out process, together with a substantial increase in business for local suppliers, subcontractors, electricians, plumbers, and others who support the construction industry. And then once the development is done, we will create several permanent jobs and also provide permanent business for independent contractors who provide the services of landscaping, maintenance and repair, cleaning, carpet replacement, printing, and painting. This development also provides a substantial increase in the tax base for ad valorem tax purposes, thus providing a substantial economic return to the city, and again, without any adversely affecting any existing infrastructure, without requiring any additional investment on the city's part in that regard. In this particular instance, we anticipate increasing ad valorem taxes from the current level of $95 a year to hundreds and hundreds of times that once the development is done. In addition, there'll be a substantial increase in revenues to the city in the forms of hundreds of thousands of dollars of sales tax receipts in connection with the purchase and sale of millions of dollars of construction materials. We believe our request and application meet all the requirements for rezoning. The oral classification is consistent and compatible with surrounding land uses and also serves as excellent transitional zoning. All necessary public facilities and infrastructure located at the site. There'll be no negative impact to those facilities and infrastructure, nor will there be any negative impact to the transportation network. This development will provide a much-needed, high-quality, affordable senior housing and also provide substantial economic benefits to the city and its citizens. Therefore, we respectfully request you approve our application and you recommend approval to council, and we'll be happy to try to answer any questions you might have.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mize. Do you have a question here? Okay.
I just want to say the proposal sounds great. A lot of information. I want to thank the Housing Authority. It sounds like a great thing. The only thing I didn't hear about was security. That's the only thing you left out.
The what?
Security for the residents. Any plans?
And please state your name and address for the record.
Kathleen Matthews with Info Housing, 2015 Felton Avenue, Macon, Georgia.
Okay.
So, yeah, we will have security. We will have perimeter fencing where you have to have a key card to enter, and then we usually also have those on the front doors of the building as well, so you cannot get in unless you have a card.
You know what goes with
So everything, all the doors, all the units will be accessed through hallways, is what you're saying?
That's correct. We'll
Okay.
have an L-shaped building. We'll have a couple of elevators there. And we'll probably just have a few access points as well.
All right. All right, thank you. Any other questions, commissioners? Yes, sir.
One question. I have the entryway right here on the plan, location map. It shows right there in the center, but there's nothing there right now to go in. During the construction time, will it be fair to say that you're going to come in from the west side of on the top of the picture there? Because that's the only entryway that I found on the site right now, because there's like a retaining wall right there. You can't go in. The problem with that is, safety-wise, is driving out is kind of a blind spot there. Will there be anything in place to avoid any accidents during the construction?
Sure. Yeah, this is really just a conceptual. The engineer will definitely work with local authorities, make sure everything, is safe and done correctly.
And honestly, that is probably, I'm good. Honestly, that also, I went out there too, and that property is almost jungle-like in the amount of vegetation. And by the time we need ins and outs of construction vehicles, there would have been a substantial amount of clearing, which will help your concern somewhat. But yeah, I would assume they would have to work with the city as far as getting safe site distances, because it is right on the curve, you're right. And, with a bulldozer, you can make an entrance a lot quicker than you would think, even if you got a small retaining wall.
Thank you, sir.
All right, do we have another question over here?
Just throwing some out there. You said affordable housing. What is the price range? Do you have a starting price?
Yes. So the market rate units, so there's only 8 of those, that'll range approximately from $750 to $850 for the 2-bedroom. But on the tax credit units, it would be from $581 for 1-bedroom up to $758 for a 2-bedroom.
Okay, thank you for the information.
All right. Any other questions, commissioners? All right. Thank you very much. I'm going to give a few minutes for phone callers to call in, or anyone that needs to text in. Again, I'll remind you that number is 706-225-3937 if you wish to call in at this time. We're just going to give just a few minutes on that, and then we'll open the floor up for a motion, so be thinking about that. And I have not received any texts from anyone at this point. I'm going to make darn sure. Okay. I have not. Yes,
So
sir.
we're not going to take questions or comments from the
I am.
floor? Okay. Thanks, sir.
And is there anyone in the I almost said congregation, is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak on behalf of this case? Yes, sir. If you would come up to the podium and state your name and address for the record, please, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Joe Connard. I have the SFR 2 property to the west of this development. Future planning for Columbus shows my property next to this general commercial property becoming zoned general commercial. In downgrading from general commercial to RO,
I don't mean to interrupt. Which address did you say you were located?
I'm at 4149 Warm Springs Road.
41.
I'm to the west of this development.
Right.
I have 5.8 acres and 4 houses.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you.
Future planning in the city's 2038 plan shows me becoming general commercial, which suits my purposes to pass along more valuable property than the existing zoning would permit. I believe that downgrading from GC to RO would eventually eliminate my eventual rezoning to GC. So I oppose this rezoning on that grounds. Should the property be rezoned for RO, I have requests for accommodation for fences overlooking buildings. You can look at the plan and see that the building is directly behind my house, and I'll be looking out my back door at 3 stories of apartments. I see on their site map that they have a 30-foot undisturbed natural barrier between us, which is appreciated, but that does nothing for security or privacy. The parking lot faces the back of some of my houses. Lights from parking cars, the location of their dumpsters, and just security for me, protecting me from 100 and some new neighbors would be appreciated.
Were you contacted at all by this development before this meeting?
By the developers? No, sir.
Yes, sir. By anyone related to this development?
Just the planning division.
Just the planning division, okay.
And I'd like to compliment Mr. Renfro on his thoroughness and his attentiveness.
All right. Gentlemen, y'all have any questions of Mr. Connor?
Connor.
Mr. Joe Connor.
Hey, Mr. Connors, well, your concerns are very general, so I would ask if any of those people that are building or can answer, the attorney can answer any of his questions and his concerns.
Okay, all right. Mr. Mize, can you come back up and address some of those concerns, please?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Let's see. I don't have any idea first whether or not downgrading it from GC to RO will affect the value of his property by the year 2038. I just don't know that. In my way of looking at it too, if you look at that site plan again, I mean, look at the zoning map. To me, on that side of Warren Springs Road where you have RO and you have residential, that one piece of GC sticking in the middle seems to be a bit out of place, and looks like to me for future land use, it would make sense to have transitional zoning there. But be that as it may, as far as the buffers go, fortunately, council has determined over the years under the UDO that where you have a situation where you've got a zoning RO and you've got it next to a single-family residential, you've got 3 choices. And John went over those 3 choices. You've got a 10-foot buffer with opaque fencing. You've got a 20-foot buffer with substantial plantings, and then you've got a 30-foot undisturbed natural buffer. And we have opted to go with a 30-foot undisturbed natural buffer with an agreement to supplement that if there are any bare spots. When I went out there, it is heavily wooded. And if you're going to be in there and it'll be 30-foot undisturbed natural buffer, my guess is that it will be plenty buffer for Mr. Connors. And also, he mentioned about security. As Kathleen said a few minutes ago, this development will be completely fenced. So that's about as good a security as you can possibly provide. And then as far as the height restrictions go, if you leave it GC, the maximum height restriction is 70 feet. And this will be in the neighborhood of 40 to 45 feet tall. So it would be better in that regard for Mr. Connor than if we left it GC. Oh, and as far as not contacting, I did ask John for the name of the opposition. I don't think he had his name, because I always try to contact the opposition, see if we can address their concerns before the meeting.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Connor. All right, any others who'd like to come speak on behalf of this case? Please come forward. Do we have any phone calls? Have we had any phone calls? Okay. All right, and I've had no text. All right, gentlemen, I'd like to open the floor for a motion unless you have any other questions or comments. All right. Mr. Derby?
All right, in regards to case REZN 03201331, a request to rezone 5.44 acres of land located at 4219 Warm Springs Road. Current zoning is GC, proposed zoning is RO. The property use is affordable senior living apartments. Infill Housing, Inc. is the applicant. The property is located in Council District 5, Crab.
All right, we have a motion to accept or approve. Do we have a second? All right, we got a second, Mr. Brannon. Any further discussion? All those in favor to approve, raise your right hand. And all opposed by the same sign. All right, thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Miles. All right. All right, case number 5, REZN 03201464. This is a request to rezone 0.31 acres of land located at 4508 Armour Road. Current zoning is NC, neighborhood commercial. Proposed zoning is GC, general commercial. The proposed use is a pawn shop. Stephen Daniels is the applicant. This property is located in District 8, Garrett, and we'll hear from planning first on this case. Mr. Renfro?
Yes, sir. General land use is consistent for planning area F. Current land use designation is general commercial. Future is general commercial. It is compatible with existing land uses. The property does not lie within the floodway and floodplain area. The developer will need an approved drainage plan prior to issuance of a site development permit if a permit is required. Property is served by all city services. There is currently no trip generation in the manual for pawn shop. The site shall meet the codes and regulations of CCG for commercial usage. There will be no school impact, no buffer requirements, no fort bending recommendation, no DRI recommendation. The surrounding zonings are as follows. North is general commercial, south is general commercial, east is neighborhood commercial, west is neighborhood commercial. 35 property owners within 300 feet of the subject properties were notified of the rezoning request. The planning department received no calls and or emails regarding this rezoning, and there's no additional information.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Renfro. Commissioners, y'all have any questions of the planning department regarding this case? This was a bookstore.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, no questions. Can you introduce yourself and give us your name and address?
Steve Daniels, 361 Lee Road, 339, Salem, Alabama.
All right, tell us what your plans are here.
Actually, I have the building for sale. My realtor, Keith Williams of Coldwell Banker, has a interested buyer that would like to make it into a pawn shop. So on his recommendation, he asked that I apply to have it rezoned GC.
All right. All right. And I notice there's no responses whatsoever, and it's right next to GC currently. So, all right. Gentlemen, y'all have any questions of this applicant?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
You gonna make the whole area a pawn shop?
It's just one building.
Just one building?
Yes, sir.
Which one is it?
It's 4508 Armour Road.
Used to be a bookstore.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know it's a bookstore.
Yeah.
When I looked it up, it showed something else with like a lot of different other.
That's the property next door.
That's the property.
Oh, next door. Okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
that's the shopping center next to the Chevron.
Right.
Thank you for the clarity.
All right. Yeah, this is a single building back there.
Correct.
Any other questions?
It says current land use designation is general commercial, but is it actual neighborhood commercial?
At this time, it's NC, yes.
Okay.
The surrounding land is GC.
Clarify that.
All right. Any other questions? All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And ask if there's anyone in the audience that would like to speak for or against this case, and we only have one other in the audience other than Mr. Johnson, so anyway, the floor is open for phone calls, and of course, that number has been told that it will be 706-225-3937 if anyone would like to call in and ask a question or make a comment. We'll give it just a minute. And I have received no text regarding that one. Okay. I already got 2 votes. How about that? All right. I'd like to open the floor up first for a motion, please, regarding this case, since no one has come forward or called in.
With regards to REZN 03-20-1464, a request to rezone 0.31 acres of land located at 4508 Armour Road. Current zoning is NC, neighborhood commercial. Proposed zoning is GC, General Commercial. The proposed use is a pawn shop. Stephen Daniels is the applicant. The property is located in City Council District 8, Garrett. I approve.
All right,
This
we have a
motion.
motion to approve. Do we have a second? All right, second. Yes, sir. Any discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. All right, thank you very much. Thank you, gentlemen. Yes, sir. All right. Last but certainly not least, we have our last rezoning case, which is REZN 03201465, which is a request to rezone 0.32 acres of land located at 517 15th Street. Current zoning is LMI, which is light manufacturing industrial. Proposed zoning is UPT, uptown. Proposed use is amusement indoor. Lori Grief, I say that right, is the applicant. This property is located in Council District 7, Woodson, and we'll hear from planning first regarding this case.
Yes, sir. General land use is consistent for planning area D. The current land use designation is vacant undevelopment. Future would be UPT. Compatible with the existing land uses, yes. The property does not lie within the floodway and floodplain area. The developer will need an approved drainage plan prior to an issuance of a site development permit if a permit is required. Property is served by all city services. There's currently no trip generation for amusement indoor. The site shall meet the codes and regulations of CCG for commercial usage. There's no school impact, no buffer requirements, no Fort Benning recommendation, no DRI recommendation. The surrounding zone is as follows. North is uptown, south is light manufacturing and industrial, east is uptown, west is uptown. 30 property owners within 300 feet of the subject properties were notified of the rezoning request. The land and apartment received no calls and or emails regarding the rezoning. There's no additional information.
All right, thank you, Mr. Renfro. Commissioners, y'all have any questions of Mr. Renfro regarding this case? All right, if you would, just give us your name and address for the record and tell us what you're planning to do here, please.
I'm Lori Grief at 6479 Woodbriar Lane in Midland, and we are attempting to buy 6 parcels at that location. 3 of them are already UPT, and then 3 of them are still LMI. So we're attempting to convert the LMI to match the rest of the block, and we'll be using it as indoor entertainment venue.
So are you planning to take all these and build one building, or?
No, the building is actually existing. It's like 5,500 square feet, and we'll be
Right.
converting it. It's
So you'll
currently
convert that one?
Yeah, we're just going to convert that one to
Okay.
warehouse venue space.
Gotcha. All right, so tell us what type of amusements we're looking at.
Axe throwing.
I'm sorry?
Axe throwing.
Axe throwing. You weren't kidding, were you?
No,
Okay.
she's already covered.
She was already covered.
CRD.
Okay.
Yes.
All
So it'll be
right.
they call it a hatchet house.
Okay, I got you. I'm with you. That's interesting. Well, at least we got a super interesting case here at the end, didn't we?
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
Axe throwing. Well, that sounds good. All right. Commissioners, do y'all have any questions of Ms. Grief? No. Yes, sir.
Well, since it's going to be a axe throwing amusement, I'm always going to be concerned with kids, the ages, security, so being as axe throwing, could you just elaborate on those, just give me some type of idea?
Well, it's really an 18 and up establishment. We're bought into a franchise, and they do have family days that's 13 and up, but it's very secure as far as there's a axe coach at every pit, and we'll have a total of 9 pits, and so every pit is monitored with an axe coach after a training session done. But the majority of the time, like 95% of the time, I suppose, would be 18 and up individuals.
Okay, that's one of the concerns I have, because like, when you go to shooters, they have somebody in the cage with you who
Yeah, there'll be
monitors.
someone at each pit.
Okay, all right. Those are my concerns. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? Mr. Brennan?
It was for Mr. Renfro, just to make sure, because the packet's not clear. We're trying to get that area to all UPT.
That's correct.
Is that correct? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right.
Other questions,
Any other
sir?
questions?
Will there be any alcohol consumption?
Yes, we have applied for a non-retail alcohol license, which I'm sure you're familiar with that. That's to keep us from being a bar, but we can't sell on Sundays and stuff like that.
All right.
All right. More team building activities for Columbus, Georgia.
Exactly.
All right. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Exactly. What are you throwing the axes at? Is it wood or?
Wood.
Wood. I was just curious. Yeah. Thank you.
I was hoping you weren't volunteering to be a target. Okay, all right, I'm just checking.
Would there be local police officers doing security? That's just a question, because alcohol and axes don't mix. So I'm just being cautious.
At this time, there's no plan for security guards.
Okay. But you will have supervision there?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right, I would hope. All right, thank you very much.
Thanks.
All right. Have we received any phone calls? I have not received any text other than votes. So anyway, I open the floor up for a motion. Anyone?
I would love to make the motion on the Hatchet House.
Go ahead, Mr. Brannett.
In the case of REZN-03-20-1465, property located at 517, 519, and 521 15th Street, a request to rezone from LMI to UPT for the purposes of a hatchet house. Because it is consistent with general land use and is matching the future land use designation, I move that we recommend approval.
All right, we have a motion to approve. Do we have a second? From Mr. Derby? Any discussion? All right, all those in favor, raise your right. Yes, sir?
Yeah, I do have discussion. I just really, security issue and people with hatchets. I mean, we can try to be as safe as we can, but we don't have control over people's thoughts and angers. You know, I'm a counselor, so, you know, I'm always going to come in the aspect and protecting the citizens of Columbus, Georgia. That's the biggest discussion I got is police enforcement at a hatchet academy.
Right.
That's it.
Okay. All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor, raise your right hand. And all opposed, we have one against, but it passes. All right. Thank you very much for your attention this morning. I would like to let you know that as far as new business, we have a scheduled meeting for June the 3rd. Do we have cases?
I believe we have one or two.
Okay.
I'll have to look at it.
All right, we do have cases on June the 3rd. We will probably be meeting in the same type of format. Maybe not, who knows, because things change rapidly. So is there any old business we need to talk about? Thank you very much for your time and your attention and being out this morning, and we are adjourned.